Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be testing 21.4.1 for stability. This is to help people out that are wondering, is it safe to update my drivers? Is there any issues with the drivers? And I can't speak for everyone on every system configuration, but on my Ryzen 5 3600 and RX 5700, things are perfectly fine, and it's basically no different to any previous driver, and all the 2020 drivers since the very beginning have been stable for me. But I do run my own settings, so I just want to make people aware of that. I'm not running bare bones stock settings. I'm running my own tuning curve. So I enable this. I've got fine tuning controls, slight undervolt, stock speed, and an aggressive fan curve to keep the temps down. And as you can see, my temps are very, 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 very good. So at these speeds, the temps are great. If I run like a 1900 megahertz overclock, obviously my junction temperature shoots way up, and I can run into instability in certain games. Not all games, but some games. So I just want people to be aware of that before I do this testing, so that you know that I'm not running the default. So if you're having stability issues, my recommendation is run a good fan curve, especially if you're in a tropical country, and try undervolting a little bit. And a quick way to get an undervolt setting is just, you'll be on automatic by default like this. Click undervolt GPU. It'll give you a voltage reading. It'll tell you like what your undervolt result is. And that number, whatever number undervolt GPU gives you, switch to manual, open advanced, like it'll look like this when you first open it. Enable, and put that undervolt reading here in the rightmost column. Okay, and if you do that, that can help a lot with stability if you're having like black screens or display loss, anything like that. And as well, enable this and turn this on, the advanced controls, and set a fan curve that ramps up sooner rather than later, because the stock curves are not necessarily tuned for per country basis or certain climate basis. They're tuned in a controlled environment for low noise based on whatever temperature targets they've set. But for me, you can run a lot cooler if you just set an aggressive fan curve, and fans are not expensive to replace compared to the cost of stability on your GPU. So anyway, you can see my curves, and I'll do a little quick rundown what they've done. Like what I've noticed that they've changed is they've kind of streamlined the record and stream. So there's a record and stream tab here at the top, a record and stream heading, and you can see there's live stream settings where you can set your account for YouTube or wherever you're going to stream to. Scene editor is still the same. Media is like where you can actually watch your videos, your recordings, and this is the recording tab. They've slightly changed it, but for me it's still fairly simple. You just click, like for example, I'm doing full region capture so you can see my screen. So if you want to do that, you click full screen, and then you can select which display you want to capture, but you can also select it to work by app. So on a per app basis, you can also do that. So, fairly straightforward. You can set hotkeys for enabling your microphone, push to talk, show your indicator. So you can see this timer in the bottom right, and record desktop, which obviously needs to be enabled if you want to record your desktop. Now, one thing they could have done a bit better is they could have put the advanced settings over here as an options. They should be like advanced options or just options here as an extra heading, an extra tab, but instead they've kept it under general. So if I click advanced settings for all the bitrate stuff, which is what most people will click record and stream to adjust, it takes me over to general. So you see at the top, this cog icon on the top right of the screen. Under that cog icon is where the record and stream options or advanced options are. So as you can see here, it's like record and stream under general and record and stream under its own heading that does not have the options in it. So they've just separated it. They need to move this tab over to here and name it options. That's what I would recommend. If the driver team ever see this, they should do that just to make it easier to navigate. But I mean, it's fairly straightforward. Just when I first clicked it, your eyes don't notice this advanced settings. It's like hidden in the bottom left. And most people that want to change their bitrate, change their encoding type, anything like that, are going to be looking for that setting, and they're going to click here and be like, where is it? There's no option here at the top. And you have to like really, yeah. Anyway, it's just not intuitive. But other than that, I updated the drivers over the previous version. I did not do a clean factory reset or anything like that. I just did full install over the top. That's all. And it asked me, it has a little driver wizard now, like a record and stream wizard. That popped up when I first opened the driver software. And obviously, because I know I had my own settings from the previous install, I was able to just click skip this, and all my settings were still saved. So I was able to like go in here and find that my bit rates and everything was set the way that I'd set it up in previous versions. I didn't have to change anything, and the hotkeys are still the same. The ones I've disabled are disabled, and then I use a couple hotkeys for if I want to turn my camera on, if I want to toggle the mic, or if I want to use push to talk, it's just T. But you can see how I've set it up just to try to make it easier to use. And other than that, they've just added more metrics, which I'm not a fan of because I don't want the software trying to monitor and do too much stuff, because to me it feels like bloatware. Because if I want to monitor my CPU, I'm obviously just going to start an app like Hardware Info or Hardware Monitor, which has a max reading. And see, they've got this launch Ryzen Master. I can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to integrate it all and make AMD CPUs and GPUs work together. So you can launch your Ryzen Master's CPU overclocking software through the Radeon graphics driver software now. So it's like they're connected. It's kind of nice, but at the same time, I'm not a fan. Like, I don't do logging. I don't do performance logging. And this is kind of jarring. Like, the app itself, if I close it, I guess it opens fairly quick. But as you can see, what just happened, if I close it, it loses everything that I was just looking at. Everything's starting to log again. So it seems to only start the logging when you open it, and you have to click this button to actually get it to save, as far as I can tell. And there's metrics. You can choose what you want monitored or displayed here. So I don't know if these are actually like deactivated properly when you uncheck them, like if it'll actually turn them off in the background monitoring. But this is what I would do if you're not using the metrics section. I would just disable them all like this and have it see not tracking any metrics. You've disabled all metrics from being displayed or logged, and see they weren't being logged to begin with unless I was on this page. They were just being displayed. So I'm not 100% sure there if the logging in the background, not the logging, but the metrics themselves are being monitored when you've disabled the display of the metrics, because you could have it not showing, but it's still monitoring it. So that when I click this, for example, well, not FPS. If I click VRAM, you can see it's still got a reading instantly. So anyway, I would just disable all that if you don't use it. And advisor section still the same. And I'm just glad the tuning works. I'm a little annoyed that they put these little symbols. I liked how it was in the previous driver because it was, for me, that the buttons seemed more easier to read. Like, this is a bit weird. This load and save is pointing arrow that way. What does that mean? Anyway, it should just be like a floppy disk icon or something for save, and then a up arrow for load, or down arrow, which would be easier to understand. And then there's factory reset and stress test options, which were in the previous drivers anyway. But as you can see, I was able to load my normal settings, which is this one here, the top one. I've got a few like benchmarking and overclocking settings, but they still work fine as well. So from previous driver versions, my profiles are still working as intended. And I recommend anyone that does some undervolting or tuning of your fan profiles, do that through here, and then click the, which one is it? This one. Click the save profile and save it, so that whenever you do a driver update, you can reload your settings that are stable and have your card running cool. So that's enough chit chat. I'll pretty much just run the two benchmarks that I've been running for all the previous driver updates, Heaven and Metro, the Metro benchmark, and we'll see how it racks up. So 1 second. I'll just check here. I hope I actually was doing my logging. Yeah, I was doing my logging here. Good. So I missed a couple of driver updates, but the last ones I checked were 21.2.3, and you can see 21.2.2. Everything's just been peachy, basically within margin of error for all the driver updates. And now we're gonna go. How am I doing this? I'll just copy this. And we'll call this 21.4.1, and today is 2604. Sorry, my noob, like, I'm just using Notepad, but for me it's just simple. I don't need to have tables or anything. And yeah, you can see my settings, the undervolt settings are all the same across every driver test that I do. And we're just gonna backspace all that. And this is going to be a recording on test. Sometimes I do recording off tests, but for me, like the fact that I'm recording this video, no editing, this is just going to be a raw upload, also helps to prove the stability of the drivers, because I'm running these benchmarks and recording at the same time. If there are any issues, they're more likely to pop up because I'm putting more strain on the GPU to do the video encoding and stuff. So anyway, we'll go to Heaven first, just because Heaven's quicker to start up. And you can see here Ultra Extreme, 8x AA, same settings that I run all the time, and I do it in 1080p windowed mode, just like that. Does that close it? No, it doesn't. And you can see the metrics all being displayed here. I don't really need the benchmark mode. And one trick to get the, because if you run Heaven, sorry, if you run Heaven without doing this, it can cause kind of like scene delay FPS spikes, which can affect the results. So you don't really know if it's a problem with the drivers or a problem with the benchmark software. But it is fairly consistent as long as you do this. You just press enter and scroll through all the scenes before you run the benchmark. And it basically prevents, it caches or preloads those scenes so that during the benchmark it doesn't cause any hitches. And so any hitches that do happen are usually just built into the benchmark itself, that happen in the same spot every time and don't really affect the result. So now I've done that, and we'll just run it. Nice. So that's looking good. As we can see, the previous drivers, so 21.2.2, we had average 95, so the averages are about the same. And then the score 2401, you know, within margin of error, it doesn't really matter, 10 points. But for recording on, the minimum looks slightly up. 46, I mean, it's still within decimals, you know, so not a big deal. And the max looks at basically the same margin. It's all margin of error. So yes, it's performing as expected. So 2, 1, minimum 47, exactly 47, 192.8. So yeah, everything's within margin of error, really. That's good. That's a good thing. It means that it's safe, pretty much. And this isn't scripted, by the way. This is the first time I'm running these benchmarks. I've just installed the drivers this morning because I was putting it off so that I could do it with a video, so that if I ran into any driver issues, I could diagnose them live on video or tell you about them after fixing them. But it's really good that they're just running, they're just working. So no problems here. So close that. And then Metro Exodus, I think that's on my D drive, wherever Epic's installed. Or it's not. Games? No. Where have I installed it? Is it on my C drive? Epic. Why do they have to have multiple folders? There, it's on my C drive. Sorry, guys. Okay, and Metro Exodus, I do this on 3440 by 1440 for more VRAM load, and it already puts 99%. So even though these settings a lot of them are off, it already puts high load on the GPU. So because it's a benchmark, and I just do it this way because this is the settings I play at for 3440 by 1440. And there's a bit of a delay when this one starts, so yeah, skip ahead as usual, and we'll see what happens. It's also worth mentioning, if you've stuck around for this far of the video and you're just chilling, if you have any requests, just shoot them in the comments, and if I've got time, or I'll make time to do specific requests. But the main reason I don't test like such a variety of games is I don't get people asking me, hey, can you test this game at this resolution? If someone was curious how the RX5700 and 3600 combo performs in a particular game and they asked me, I'd be more than happy to test it for them. So yeah, if you have requests, just leave them in the comments and I'll get onto that for you. There we go. So let's take a look at this. Where's my Facebook starting? Average is 58.10, 75, 3.45. How's that looking compared to the previous? All margin of error, right? Yeah. So I don't know. Some people say like drivers messed with my system and crashed everything. I don't know. Maybe I'm just really, really lucky, or I'm dodging bullets somehow. But I upgraded to a RX5700, more of a side grade from my 1070 Ti, specifically because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about with people complaining about the RX5700 and Navi cards being unstable and having issues with drivers. And apart from like GPU scaling and an issue with this setting right here, I'll show you these settings that I've got disabled. These are where the issues are. Probably mostly been fixed by now, but the issues that I had were anti-lag, chill, and boost, because they cause weird behavior as intended. So for example, chill limits your FPS to save power, so you'll get FPS drops. And if that's enabled, you might think there's something wrong when really it's just to save power. Anti-lag can cause higher latency in some games and slightly lower FPS, but in the games that it's intended for, like competitive shooters, it usually helps. But I just keep it disabled because I don't want it. And then Radeon Boost, which is to do with dynamic resolution during motion. It can give you higher frame rates when you're turning the camera really fast in first-person shooters. Hit and miss as well. So, I just keep all that stuff disabled. And a lot of the black screen issues can happen with enhanced sync or vertical sync. And as you can see, I keep those disabled. I just cap my FPS to avoid tearing. And under display, this is where I first had issues in the 19 drivers, way, way back. Having virtual super resolution and GPU scaling enabled in the 19 drivers caused black screen issues like display loss issues, combined with, I think, a BIOS setting for PCIe mode, which I keep at 3.0. So yeah, but ever since 2020, I haven't had those issues, but I also do keep these settings, as you can see here, the way they are across all the driver updates. So if one of these settings is still causing issues for people and they're doing factory reset when they update their drivers, that would be part of the reason they're reporting, oh, the new drivers are unstable. It could be because they're doing factory reset and all the stuff they've turned off, which was stable in the previous drivers, re-enabled itself, because some of these settings will reset when you do factory reset on a driver update. So you just have to check this stuff if you're doing factory resets. A lot of people will recommend factory reset, especially if you're either coming to a new card from a NVIDIA card, or if you're having issues with your drivers and you're doing a reinstall, you'll do factory reset or DDU, display driver uninstaller. But you still have to keep in mind that the factory reset will turn a lot of this stuff back on, and then that could be part of the problem. Like you've just got like an incompatibility. Like for example, if I go into the driver notes, they'll even say it somewhere here. Known issues, enhanced sync may cause a black screen to occur. So this issue has been around. They didn't actually list it in every single update as a known issue, but since version 19, some games and some system configurations. So they've recommended this for like the past, I don't know how many driver updates. They've been recommending any users experiencing these issues, which is black screen issues, is disable it as a temporary workaround. And then there's some logging issues, incorrect memory values. Yeah, I've seen that too. For example, intermittently incorrect memory clock values. If I go to my performance tab, tuning, stock is 1750 megahertz with tuning disabled, but it's showing 1746 or 1748, and it should just be sitting on 1750. And if I enable this and add like 2 points, it'll go up to 1750 and it'll look correct, but really the display is just not accurate according to the driver notes. So there's things like that. But yeah, I just wanted to share those details with you, because that's part of, I think, why a lot of people still have issues even after how long the Navi cards have been out, is just to do with factory reset and some of these settings that don't work on some configurations. They haven't been fully ironed out on specific and I'll tell you part of the reason why they haven't been ironed out, because a lot of people will opt out of the AMD user experience program. because they don't want to share their details to AMD, right? Like a lot of people don't want to share their data, like kind of like with Microsoft logging, which I don't do Microsoft logging, but part of how they fix the bugs is when they know about them. And if you're not submitting bug reports that you're having this black screen issue, and you're not in the experience program and helping submit your details to AMD, because for example, driver crashes as well should be going to them. That's going to delay how long it takes them to fix these bugs that some people are having. Or it could just be a genuine instability where you should do your stability test, ASUS RealBench, and HCI mem test for your RAM, because RAM and CPU instability will cause the same problems as driver crashing. Like it can literally make your graphics drivers crash, and then everyone will naturally think, oh, my display drivers crashed, my GPU's the problem, and it can be other things. So yeah, enough of that. I just wanted to share this with you guys so you can see that they're working fine. Everything's, no complaints apart from how they could streamline this a little bit better. They could tidy this up. There shouldn't be a record and stream tab under general when there's a record and stream heading where the options should be. So they need to put that option. They just need to move this advanced settings over to here as an options heading. And that would be a lot cleaner. But other than that, I mean, it's still great. Oh, there was one more setting that was interesting. You can actually go into settings. I think it was display, or yeah, here. This is new. I don't know if they added this in a previous driver and I just missed it. But they've got these custom color, allows tweaking of colors who experience color deficiencies. You can do the all this detriment. This is the stuff that you could do in the NVIDIA drivers, and you can do the Prenatopia, Ditrinatopia, Trinatopia. And as well, they've got the kind of like a vivid enhancement. So if I enable this, take a look at this. It changes the color palette a little bit, and you can see everything in my taskbar gets a bit brighter. It's kind of like vivid. So if we just take a look at that, because I didn't test this exclusively. We can just take a quick look at how that looks in Heaven when I turn it on and off. So there we go. Okay, and vivid. So it just adds a little bit of brightness. I think my brightness and stuff is already high, but you can see the color goes a little bit richer too. Yeah. So I think that's something, I can't remember what NVIDIA called it, enhanced something or other. But they had a similar setting where you just you just flick one switch and then it makes everything pop a little bit more. So I'm not going to look up what that was called, but yeah, it's just nice to see it there. They've added this for people that don't want to stuff around, or you can just use the custom color, which is always good. And this is like similar to NVIDIA settings as well. So, well, it's not exclusive to them. I mean, it's just, this is where it is in AMD drivers. It's under display. So settings cog display. And you can change the temperature, you can increase the brightness. But unfortunately, I don't know if they fixed it. You might not see these changes in the video. And if you don't, it's because it changes it, how do I put this? It changes it on the display, not on the desktop where you can record it. So when I'm adjusting these, I'm seeing all the colors and everything, and I'm seeing the contrast change on my screen. I don't know if it comes through in recording. It didn't when they first implemented it. They might have fixed it, but yeah, I can't guarantee that these settings will be good for recording. If you want to have your colors popping live on video. But anyway, yeah, that's good to know, the custom color settings, and you can do that on a per game basis for specific games as well. So if you have those games that are a little bit darker and you want that improved visibility, you can literally go to your games, and I've got this running, so that's not going to work. You can go to your gaming tab. So I go back. Oh, they've literally put the back up. They used to have it like here, but anyway, back, and you can go into your specific game. We'll say what's a first-person shooter game, Call of Duty, and you can go in and change custom color and do your color settings for improved visibility just for Call of Duty. And so that's really good. You can have your brightness if you want just to see things a little bit better. and basically like the in-game filters kind of, and you can adjust those. And as you can see, as you might not be able to see, when you adjust these, you should have the game running in a window if you want it to work the best, or have the game running in full screen windowed, and then Alt Tab to bring this up in a window like this with the game running like this, and then go to your colors and adjust it with the game open so that you can actually see what you're doing. But it won't affect your desktop if the game's not running. If the game is running, it'll actually affect your desktop too. So when you Alt Tab out, things can still be bright. I don't know if they've fixed that yet. I'll have to test. But yeah, just so you know that these settings exist, because not everyone does. A lot of people will just say, oh, they don't have that setting, and then naturally when you see this gaming tab, it says nothing about colors unless you go into the specific game. So it's kind of like easy to miss, for a better way to describe it. Anyway, thanks heaps for watching, guys, and I hope that helps you out with your instability or stability concerns. And I'll try to get onto my regular updates again now that I've got a bit more time lately for gaming. And if there's any game you want me to test, because I know I'm still seeing a lot of posts saying Warzone runs crap, and I don't know, maybe it's just spec-wise. I haven't had issues with it at the resolution I play at, with the settings I play at 3440 by 1440. But yeah, if you want me to do a video on a specific game and troubleshoot a little bit for my setup and to give you an idea of how the game should be running, then I can do that too. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.